Thank you, Colin. Good morning. My name is Linda Frazier. I am a benefit specialist with the Shared Work program. Thank you for attending our webinar on paid family medical leave and shared work. We will have an open question and answer session after the presentations are completed. During the presentations, please feel free to write your questions in the chat. Be patient as many of your questions may be answered during the presentation. In this webinar, we will learn about paid family medical leave and the Shared Work program. Now, I'd like to start with introducing Xander Spain Green, the Programs and Marketing Manager for the Greater Federal Way Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Xander.
You guys hear me? There we go. Thank you very much, Linda. And thank you everybody else for being here. Like Linda said, my name is Xander. I'm the Programs and Marketing Manager at the Chamber. And we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up. So I'm going to run through some of that really quick. June 3rd, our next membership meeting, we've got Multi-Service Center is coming to give a presentation on their transit-oriented development project with Sound Transit. So they'll be building 230 plus affordable housing units right here in Federal Way next to the Light Rail Extension Center. And thank you to our sponsors for that event, Walsh Construction. They're major here in PNW, so I'm happy to have their support. Next month, June 18th, we're here for another webinar with the Chamber and ESD. That one is on Washington Cares and the Shared Work program. So I'm going to drop a link where you can register for that one as well in the chat there. And then July 1st, our next membership meeting after MSC, we have State Treasurer Mike Policiotti coming to talk about the state budget and the programs that they have planned for the next year. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention is June 10th. We're celebrating 20 years with our Cornerstone Investors Red Canoe Credit Union. That is a morning networking event at 8 a.m. and it's open to members and non-members. So maybe I'll convince Cheryl to come down and say hi too. But yeah, if anybody's ever been interested in meeting some of the business leaders here in Federal Way, that's a great time to do it. But other than that, just thank you again to ESD for being here. And back over to you, Linda.
Thank you, Xander. He will be available during our question and answer session of the presentations. Now let me introduce Todd Dixon to present the paid family medical leave overview.
All
Welcome,
right.
Todd.
Thank you. Well, good morning, business community. You've made it to the most exciting part of your day, which is not getting your kids to school, not your Pop-Tart breakfast or your morning workout. The best part of your day is the next 40 minutes to learn about paid leave and shared work programs offered through the Washington State Employment Security Department. My name is Todd Dixon, and I'm going to give you a brief overview of the paid leave program, a very popular program for employers and workers in the state to help folks with a serious health condition or for those who are caring for family members with a serious health condition. We'll have some time for questions at the end, and I also invite you to go to our website, which will show at the end, esd.wa.gov, where all the updated information on the programs are available, and always encourage you to sign up for the Employment Security newsletter so you have up-to-date information about this and all the other programs. So good morning, and next slide. So today we will cover paid family and medical leave with, we'll talk about a benefits overview and then talk about the role of the employer, and then we'll turn it back over for the shared work program presentation. Next. Okay, and we'll start with the paid family medical and leave presentation. So as a way of benefits, paid leave is leave from work to care for yourself or to care for a family member. The employees apply for that benefit with the state, with the Employment Security Department, not through you as employer. Employment security pays the benefits directly, and employers cannot prevent or interfere with workers using the paid family and medical leave program. Next. For a worker to become eligible for the program, there's a two-part eligibility. First, an employee must qualify for working enough hours, and that's 820 hours, which is in a qualifying year, which is usually about a year. That can be the hours from one employer or a combination, and the benefit is portable and follows the worker between jobs. Once they've established they've had enough work hours, then there's a requirement to have a qualifying event. And there are three broad categories that we'll talk about. One is a serious health condition of the workers themselves or to care for a family member with a serious health condition. For the birth, adoption, or placement of a child, including adoptive and foster parents, or for certain military events where a family member is going overseas. Next. The family leave part of it is to care for a family member with a serious health condition. Bonding in the first year after the birth or placement of a child under 18, including adoption and foster parents. Military family leave, or compassion leave for the loss of a child who would have qualified an employee for bonding leave. Next. The definition of family is quite broad and has been changed over different legislative sessions, but caring for a family member includes child, grandchildren, spouse, domestic partner, sibling and step siblings, parents, grandparents, and even more broadly, any individual for whom the employee has an expectation for care, whether they live with together or not. Next. Next slide. Medical leave is time away to receive treatment or recover from a serious health condition. These are defined by law, and it's up to the healthcare provider to diagnose and to certify whether or not it's a serious health condition. Examples include a serious illness or injury, treatment for things like cancer, dialysis, chronic conditions, treatment for substance abuse, inpatient mental health care, and recovery from childbirth. Paid family medical leave is typically not used for other leave that we might take for common sick leave, like a cold or flu or earaches, upset stomach, cosmetic treatments. Next. So workers qualify with a claim year, which is usually begins on a Sunday. It's good for a year. If there's a second application submitted in that same year, the claim year does not restart. The maximum benefit for 2026 is 1,647 weekly. And new is the minimum claim duration for paid leave benefits is 4 consecutive hours. So in order for a worker to take paid leave, it must be in a 4-hour block. And that block could be 2 hours at the end of a shift and 2 hours at the beginning, but it must be 4 consecutive hours. And you can also add supplemental benefits to this in addition to what the paid leave programs. So it doesn't impact what the paid leave program provides. It's just something supplemental you can offer on top of that, depending on how you're set up as an employer. Next slide. So a typical work week hours are, we average during the qualified period. Salaried and full-time employees are calculated at 40 hours a week. And the number of maximum weeks allowed for paid leave is If it's medical or family leave, it's 12 weeks. When there's a situation when you're combining both caring for yourself and caring for a family member, up to 16 weeks for serious health condition, and also up to 18 weeks if that combined medical and family leave for yourself and caring for it also includes pregnancy or birth complications. So 12, 16, or 18 um, maximum leave period under the paid leave program. Next. As an employer, if you have full access, you can, on your screens, you can look at some limited information on your employees' claim activity. There's a tab under your box which includes benefit claim information. You will be able to look at the employee name and date of birth, the claim, the application date, the requested leave dates, what decision our agency made from the healthcare provider information, and approved leave dates. And so we always invite you to have full access to your employer portal screen that we'll talk about later in this presentation. Next. Along with other requirements that you have in break rooms and other areas that are frequented by employees, you're required to inform your employees about the paid leave program. I've visited several employer organizations across the state, always happy to see these posters. You may also want to share a pay stub insert with your employees. You be careful of scams. You need not pay for these. You can get free posters from us, and it's on our website at esd.wa.gov, along with a sample pay stub insert, the posters, the notice, and the job protection requirements that are new. So go to our website and download those um, to get the right wording and notifications. Next slide. Some employers have developed and are allowed to develop a voluntary plan. These are run by the employer and or medical leave insurance programs. You can choose to use a voluntary plan for either the family leave or the medical leave or for a paid family and medical leave program. All employers must offer some type of paid leave program. And you also, in order to get that plan approved, you must apply on our website to be approved for a voluntary plan. The benefits available must meet or exceed the state benefit plan and must be extended to all employees of the applying business. We have a really good handout on the voluntary plan guide, which is stated, and you can also look at a list of all the employers that are approved for voluntary plans. Next. There are some updated and new requirements for job protection based on the size of the employer. In overall sense, a qualified employee's job must be restored upon returning from paid leave. And we have a notice on our website that provides all that information. An employee coming back from paid leave is entitled to restoration to their original job or an equivalent job with the same pay, benefits, and working condition. If an employer does not follow this law, an employee has a right to file an unlawful act complaint, and damages may be assessed. So based on the employer size, there are job protection requirements. And we'll talk a little bit about more detail in the next few slides. Next slide. So for employment protection, employers are, job protection standards are based on the size of the employer. And so we're in 2026. So if you have 25 or more employees, these job protection standards apply to you. In 2027, if you have 15 or more employees, the job protection standards apply. And then in 2028, employers with 8 or more employees, the job protection standards apply. And we have rules and that follow this. So over the next couple of years, the cohort of employers increases that are required to meet these job protections because the employer size minimums decrease. Next slide. If you have an employee on paid leave, their employer must maintain their health care benefits during the paid leave period. Coverage should be the same as if the employee was still working. You also need to allow them to continue to pay their share of the premiums. There are some exceptions, such as when the employee does not qualify for job protection, they were no longer applied when they applied for paid leave, or they failed to return within the allowed time frame. An employer doesn't have to maintain health care benefits if the employee is not employed by them when they apply for paid leave. In most cases, generally speaking, if they have health care coverage and they're taking paid leave, that coverage should continue as if they're working. Next slide. Job protection, this is new information. We've been getting a lot of questions about this, and there's a link here on our job protection employer notice and FMLA impact. So new is that employers may reduce the paid leave job protection by an equal amount of previously taken FMLA, the federal job protection, if that total duration of job protection between FML and Washington paid leave would exceed 16 weeks under both programs in a 12-month period. You must supply a notice to the employees notifying them of your intent to have FMLA job protection applied to the paid leave protection. Please visit our website for the up-to-date recent information on the coordination of FMLA, which is federal, and Washington paid family medical leave, which is state, and the durations of leave, often referred to as stacking, and what you're allowed to do. Next slide. So there are some employer reporting requirements. Many of you are or most are already complying, and I always invite you to contact employer services if you're having trouble or having questions about reporting and collections. We'll just talk about some basic information here. Next slide. So every quarter, employers must complete and file a report with employee hours, including paid gross wages, and pay the paid leave and walk cares premiums. And I'll talk to you about whether you collect that, whether there's an assessment of the employer or employee. There's one report due for both programs, and you must file even if you don't have payroll for that quarter. So details about your business, wages, hours. Also for walk cares, and I invite you to, Xander talks about a walk cares presentation coming up in June. For walk cares, the expectation of collecting the premium, there are employees who have an exemption. Make sure they're marked exempt on your quarterly report from premium collection. And we'll talk about that more in June, but we do have exempt employees for walk cares. Next. And then, of course, the reports are due the month following the quarter, as shown in this chart. Next. Well, so the premiums for this year, so we'll talk about both paid leave, which I've been talking about, and then walk cares for a future webinar. But for the paid leave premium, the total premium is 1.13 percent of wages. And the employers, although um, employers who are under 50 employees do not pay the employer share. So if you have more than 50 employees, the 1.13% is calculated by the employer share of that 1.13 is 28.5%, and the employees is about 72%. There is a cap on the wages of 184,500. So the total premium rate, regardless, is 1.13. If you're a larger employer over 50, you contribute about a quarter of that in the employee. If it's you're under 50, then total premium rate of 1.13 is paid by the employee. For walk cares, the premium rate is 0.58%. There is no employer share. So for walk cares, which is the state long-term care program to help folks that need help with activities of daily living as administered by DSHS. It's something you collect, uh, the premiums collected from the employee. There's no employer share, although some employers do select and can cover the premiums as a benefit to their employees, and there is no cap on the wages or Social Security cap. Next slide. Most employers have been playing by the rules and very good at reporting and paying the penalty, paying the premium. So thank you. Starting in August with our quarterly reporting, we're going to be sending out notices of past due balances, and to let you know that if you have a past due balance after 90 days, could be referred for collection. Interest and penalties on unpaid premiums. We're not going to apply them retroactively, but employers remain responsibility for outstanding premiums. So we're not going to apply the penalties and interest going all the way back, but just moving forward. And we will give you a notice just to help to comply, and then there's some penalties, and then we apply a 1%. So some employers may be getting notice from us about the obligation of outstanding premiums and our collection processes. Next slide. There are grants available to help small businesses when they have someone who's on paid leave. Employers are eligible to receive 10 grants per year. Employer agents and POAs may apply for the grants on behalf of the employer. We have, in addition to the above, we have a streamlined application process for eligibility. We require you to attest in writing about the need. Grants are available for offsetting some of the costs when a temporary to hire like a temporary employee or other wage-related costs, and they can be up to $1,000 or $3,000 depending on the type. So you apply for a grant. It's simple. We have you attest. We look at it. Once you receive these grants, then what we ask you to do is to pay the employer share in addition to the employee share of those premiums for 3 years. Next slide. You cannot include an employee in a layoff if they're actively on paid leave, unless there are certain circumstances which it was not, the layoff was not foreseeable. There are certain layoff was because of natural disasters, or just overall an employee is protected from termination during paid leave. There are exceptions. Just ask you to look at the statute here if you're having a layoff to know the requirements. Next slide. There's been updated guidance based on some new legislation. Does not really affect you. The IRS said, hey, state of Washington, we're treating you as a private insurance company, basically. So we had to change the way that the law is written. It swaps the employer contributions. We did some technical accounting. Does not impact you, but employers should consult the new tax guidance on our website for more information. Next slide. So give you a quick overview as we have just a few minutes left here. Next slide. So most of you have already created your account. And so you access your account from the SAW, the State of Washington portal. Next slide. With limited access, there's no PIN required. You can submit your reports and you can request a change of access. With full access, you can amend reports, you can apply for the small business grants and view voluntary plan and conditional waivers. And you have more access to look at that limited employee benefit information. We encourage you to set up full access. We'll set you up with a PIN through the mail. Next slide. To get full access, we'll send, you'll request a PIN letter. We'll send that to you. And what I want to say here in summary is, if you'd like as much information as you can about your workers, getting full access is the way to go. Next slide. Here's a look at the employer homepage and the tabs set up for easy navigation to look at all the profiles. Next slide. And already covered this. Next slide. If you have an employer agent or power of attorney, all the information about their role and what they can and can't do can be found on our guidelines posted on our website. Next slide. And our resources are, next slide. Hey, email us, give us a call, visit our website, and I really encourage you to sign up for our monthly employer newsletter. Okay. And next slide. And continue. Okay, let me introduce you to Thomas Binkley to present the shared work overview. Welcome, Thomas.
Thanks. Thanks so much, Todd. Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to share with you about the Washington Shared Work Program. To get started, we're going to show you a quick video about how our program can work for you. Go ahead and cue up the video. Thank you.
It happens to every business. A bump in the road. Maybe demand for your product or services goes down. The market goes in the tank. I don't know. The city decides to tear up your street and divert traffic away from your business for months. All you know is that your business is in a fix, and you've got hard decisions to make. You don't want to lay off staff. They're like family. But what else can you do? The answer? The Washington Employment Security Department's Shared Work Program. The Shared Work Program saves employers money and employees jobs. Here's how it works. Instead of cutting jobs, you cut hours. Then employees can collect partial unemployment benefits for the hours they've lost. Say an employee's hours are cut temporarily by 50%. In addition to a partial paycheck, the worker will get 50% of his or her regular weekly unemployment benefit. In other words, employers save payroll and hang on to their skilled workforce, while employees keep their jobs and collect unemployment for the hours lost. And the program is so flexible. From week to week, you can change your level of participation, from the number of employees to the number of hours up to 50%. It's all up to you. Don't think of the Shared Work Program as unemployment insurance. Rather, it's employment insurance, a safety net. This is a program that keeps workers employed. This is a program that shows employees that you care. The Shared Work program protects your business during the lean times. That is, until you're ready to contact WorkSource, Washington's employment services system, to start hiring. How successful has the Shared Work program been? More than 96% of business owners who have used it would sign up for the program again, and virtually all would recommend it to other employers. And a large majority even said the program helped them survive the recession. In every business, there are peaks and valleys. When you hit one of those valleys, we'll be here for you. Washington State's Shared Work program. It saves money, it saves jobs. Plain and simple, it works. Here's how to reach us when you're ready to get started.
All right, thank you, Colin. Next slide, please. All right, now, what is Shared Work? It's a voluntary program that you can sign up for as an employer in order to prevent layoffs and retain employees at reduced hours instead of laying them off during an economic downturn. Some of the benefits are that you get to keep your workforce intact during an economic setback. Employees keep their job. They get a prorated percentage of their unemployment benefits of what their regular unemployment benefits would be. It's open to most businesses and industries. Plan tends to improve employee morale. They really appreciate that you're doing everything you can to keep them. And applying is easy. It only takes about 10 minutes. And you can apply online at our public website. I am posting that in the chat for everyone, just for your convenience if you're interested later. We'll go on to the next slide. Shared Work allows you to reduce your employees' usual hours by 10% to 50%. Your workers collect unemployment benefits to replace part of their lost wages. A Shared Work plan can last up to 1 year, and there's no limit to how many times you can reapply once your plan ends. A Shared Work plan does affect your experience rating, but laying off workers who then apply for unemployment is going to affect your experience rating a lot more because they're going to be drawing a lot more money from the fund for unemployment. You can hire new employees and not include them on your Shared Work plan, or you can add them as you go as needed. It's flexible for your own business needs. The eligibility requirements are just that you must be a legally registered business in Washington State, have an Employment Security Department number or ESD number, have 2 permanent employees who qualify for unemployment, and maintain all participating employees' benefits at the same level that they were, before the hours were reduced. We'll go to the next slide. Now, there's 2 ways that you can apply for Shared Work. They're both very easy. The first way is by e-services. You'll need to have a secure Access Washington account with access to locked services in the employer account management system, or EAMS. Once you sign into e-services, you'd use the same username and password you used for your SAW account. And then from e-services, once you've been granted those locked services, you would have the option to apply for Shared Work under the I Want To tab. This access also allows you additional management features such as adding, removing employees, and viewing your payment reports online. Make sure that you completely fill out both the application portion on the website and the list. And it must, again, it must contain at least 2 employees to qualify. And we'll go to our next slide. The second way to apply is by filling out the plan application PDF and the participant list Excel sheet that we have on our public website. We also have a non-Excel version of that list if you needed to handwrite it at that same link that I posted earlier. You'll need to save both of the forms to your desktop and save them, and then upload them using our secure upload link or the fax number provided on our website and the form itself. And we'll go to the next slide. If you're uploading your file to us, make sure you sign and date the applications. Well, if you fax it too, but if you're uploading, make sure you rename the application and participant list with your business name so we know whose information we're going to be looking at. And once you're approved by either of the submission methods, we'll be sending you a welcome email explaining next steps. It'll link to an orientation video on how to maintain your plan and all of the needed forms that you might need if you need PDF versions of our forms, as well as an employee guide to share with your employees. We make it very easy for you. Let's see. In the next slide. And then these are some links we'll be sharing with the slide deck later, just for your own. One of them's the apply for shared work that I sent earlier, and the other is just another place to get our forms. But if there's any questions and within this process or how to fulfill it, it's really easy to get a hold of us at our phone number, the 800-752-2500, and we'll guide you along and provide whatever assistance that we can. Next slide. And then this will be shared later as well, but this is just a quick glance at our phone number, the different options, emails to contact us, and our normal business hours. They are now Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Tuesday and Thursday from 8 a.m. just until noon. It's going to conclude the shared work piece. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Thomas, for your presentation. And thank you, Todd and Xander, for your information also. With that, let's open up the question and answer session. Please feel free to take yourself off of mute or put your questions in the chat. Let's begin. Thank you, Todd, again for the paid leave presentation. What's one thing you would like our audience to take away from your presentation today?
Yeah, thank you for that. It's kind of 1A and 1B. Sign up for our employer newsletter. We send out updated guidance and information and training on a regular basis on paid leave, and so you can get that directly. Secondly, there were some changes about the relationship between FMLA and the Washington Paid Family Medical Leave. Lots of information on our website that explains it really well. Give us a call at our employer services unit if you have any questions. We're here to help. We want you to get it right.
I do see a question in the chat for you, Todd. Is there a penalty for not submitting reports? I have paid the premiums, but as a new employer, did not know I had to do additional reporting.
I think Kimo Dean is on here from Employer Services. Would you like to take a stab at that one?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for your question. So your premiums will be dependent on when you submit your report. So if you haven't submitted your report starting August of this year, penalties will be assessed on missing reports. But again, you need to submit the report in order to know what your premiums are for the submitted quarter. Unless you have additional questions, Ms. Daniela.
Daniela did have a second question. So the payments are different than what was paid through payroll.
Kimo Dean, do you want to take a stab at that one?
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand, Ms. Daniela, would you mind elaborating a little bit more? I'm kind of confused. So employers are
Yes.
required to submit quarterly reports during
Hi
the
there.
reporting month? Yes.
Hi there. Good morning.
Hello.
So I'm trying to understand the process. Like I see in payroll, we pay the taxes that my portion and the employee's portion. But my question is, I thought that was the only payment. So I'm trying to understand when I enter through SOLD, which I just registered through my business on that, I'm gonna put the hours that everybody worked and the payments we submitted already, and on top of that, there is more payments to be made.
So when you submit your employees' hours and wages during the reporting month for the quarter, the system will calculate what the total premium balance is for that quarter. Once you have that, then you make a payment for that premium. The penalty is for when the employer does not submit their report during the reporting month, and then they will be assessed a late fee for that for missing quarter. But the interest will be assessed if the employer submits a report and they have a premium balance, but they don't make that payment during the reporting month. That's when the interest will be assessed on that late past due balance.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what about Hemodine for temporary employees? How does your unit report, calculate, and treat temporary employees?
Ms. Claire, would you mind elaborating when you say temporary employees? So if you hired somebody temporarily because you have a permanent employee on leave, you will include them in your quarterly report. So I'm trying to understand, and then you will indicate what their hours and wages were during that quarter.
Sure, I can elaborate a little bit. We work in partnership with school districts, and for example, we're having a summer program. So I'm hiring employees who will be working for that set of time, kind of like a seasonal employee. So I'm just wanting to understand how to factor everything that has been discussed today, given the context of temporary employees.
Is
That's a
it in
better way to
regards to
frame
your
it.
reporting?
I'm sorry?
Is this in regards to your reporting requirements or?
Just in general, like I just want to, if there's any advice or any guidance you have, given that I'll have employees for, a set amount of time that they've agreed upon.
So if you hire someone temporarily during the quarter, right? So when it comes to the reporting month, you will include them and you will provide how many hours they worked. The system, and then once they're no longer working for you in the following quarter, you just exclude them from your reporting.
Reporting component will just fluctuate depending on, how many employees hired in that quarter.
Yes. So you will only report for the employees that you had in the reporting month. And then once they're no longer there in the following quarter, you just exclude them from your assess a file, or if you're entering it manually, you just do not include them in that.
A temporary employee who has accrued and is eligible for paid family medical leave, and they go on leave during that temporary window, what are the implications for me as an employer if I do need to replace them and then that window ends, you know, their employment window ends on that set date, but they're on the leave. Anything I need to be thinking about there? I know it's kind of a outlier question.
Yeah, I need to know the specifics on that. As for the employee's eligibility for paid leave, it's like Mr. Todd said, as long as they have worked 820 hours during the qualifying period, the paid leave, and they have provided a medical certification that the qualifying event happened, they will be eligible for paid leave.
Re-employed that, or return their employment if that date had passed beyond when the temporary window was. I wouldn't have any obligations to that, correct?
I mean, they no longer work for you, right?
Okay.
So you don't have any
Yes.
kind of obligation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just confirming. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
It's a good question. And Hemodine, I'm not sure if you can answer this one or if I can, and we may have to get back. It was from Rebecca about if there's a paid leave holiday within the time off during that paid leave on WA paid leave, and the employee is paid by the employer for that, does that prolong their time off? Does that mean they get an additional day off at a later date since it was paid by the employer? I think not. This may not be something you are able to answer. I may have to get back to Xander and talk to a policy specialist.
Yeah, I I think,
Yeah.
I mean, if it is, if they're already on a paid leave approved and they're submitting their weekly claims, I don't know if that's where you're referring to, me. Will they have an additional extended leave or not? But as for the employee, once they're approved for leave, they have a leave start date and leave end date. And then once it's approved, they just submit their weekly claims due for each week.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Thank you for those great answers. If you missed it, shared work was asked is, can you do shared work for part-time employees? And the answer was yes, as long as they are a permanent employee and they are either full-time or part-time. So as long as they're a permanent employee, they can participate in the shared work program. Are there any other questions?
Thanks, Linda. I just want to elaborate on that point a little bit. As far as the part-time employees go, when you're filling out your employee list as an employer or you're adding a new employee to your plan, there's a section for you to fill out that employees' regular working hours. Those are the hours that they're being reduced from, and it will calculate based on what their regular working hours are, how many hours they're reduced from their regular working hours. So that adjusts all the way down to whatever hours that you put on there for however many hours that employee is working for you. Even like a 15-hour, super part-time employee would most likely be able to participate.
And Thomas, while you're there, what would you like the audience to take away from your presentation today?
A lot of these things that we're talking about today with paid family medical leave and shared work is no exception to this. Get complicated and confusing. When in doubt, call us. We're a super easy team to get a hold of, and we really want to help you and have a good experience. So we're going to give you a lot, but if it's ever overwhelming, you're not sure, something feels off, just give us a call. We really want to make sure that it goes well for you.
Thank you, Thomas. And Xander, is there anything you would like the audience to take away from today's presentation?
Yeah, Thomas actually hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what I was gonna say is I've had many chamber members not know that these programs were available as options, and it's allowed them to retain staff and keep their doors open through difficult times or low revenue periods. So I'm just happy that people are here asking these questions because they really will benefit your business. And then, like Thomas said, these people are here, and as we've just seen, they're very knowledgeable and happy to help. So please contact them with your questions. And yeah, thank you again to everyone from ESD for being here to share their expertise.
I think there was one more question from Daniela. If I have not submitted reports so far, how far back should I go to report if I'll start reporting now? Did we address that yet?
I don't think so. Hemodine probably can answer that question.
Yeah, so employees are required to report from the beginning of Q1 2019 up to Q1 2026 now. So if you have any past due reports that you didn't submit during this timeline, please do log in and submit your report. And if for any of those quarters you didn't have any employees to report, please select no payroll.
Thank you again to all of our presentations, to Xander, Todd, and Thomas. Are there any other questions before we end this meeting?
I just want to briefly go back to what Ms. Rebecca was asking. If an employee submits their weekly claim and there was a national holiday or employer had paid them for that particular week, if it was not a supplemental benefit and the employee entered how many hours of sick leave or vacation leave they received from their employer, that weekly claim will be prorated. So the employee, when their benefit claim is approved, they have a bank of hours available for the leave type. So if they are eligible for 40 hours of during the weekly claim, but then they received sick leave or vacation leave and it's not supplemental, they enter that information, that weekly claim will be prorated. And as long as the employee has hours remaining during that claim year, they will be able to submit weekly claims. Once they exhaust their bank of hours, that's when they will not be able to submit weekly claims. Hope that clarifies that, Mr. Pika.
Thank you for that. Again, thank you for all of the great information and for participating in our webinar today. This recording deck will be available next week. And the next webinar will be a presentation from WACARES and the Shared Work Program on Thursday, June 18th at 10 a.m. Thank you again for attending today's webinar.
Thank you.